Hello again. Welcome back on my YouTube channel. So I'm back again with another video. So I'm just gonna make another video that is actually a blackout. I think lately I don't feel like I want to be seen. I just don't know. I just want to be in my comfort zone whatsoever. I think this new moon is affecting me a lot than I think, but it's not about that. And I'm trying not to control how long this video is gonna be, because yesterday I said I'm just gonna make a video that is actually small, actually not long, but it ended up being long, and I'm okay with that. So I'm just gonna allow my energy, I'm just gonna allow myself to channel in whatever way that makes sense. And as much as I'm a control freak, so I want my video to be in a certain way, but they ended up being in another way. So I'm just like, you know what, if those are actually downloads, so why I don't give it a chance instead of trying and being fine myself, trying not liking what I the results. So I'm just a messenger. So I've been thinking about making a video about a spiritual ego. So we are all spiritual people. So being spiritual, knowing that you are a spiritual being before anything, you are a spirit. We are spirit before anything, as I said, and our body is it's something that comes second. But obviously we were spirit, we are still spirit. So I'm just gonna talk about the spiritual ego. As I mentioned that I'm into a mystic spirituality that is considered as a metaphysics. I'm into metaphysics, so I'm just gonna talk about those kind of things that are actually mystic, because I'm a mystical being. I have a mystical soul. I do life as a rebel that it came on earth to live a life that is authentic in order to inspire other people to be themselves, to go about, to be following their calling, because we're all called, you know, we have callings, we all have gift. So us having gift, us knowing that we are actually people who came on earth to remember who we are, because we go through a lot and we have to be constantly being awakening to who we are. So spiritual ego, it can be something that allow you, that deprive you your spiritual growth. So I'm just gonna talk more about spiritual ego, because even I am guilty of this behavior. I'm guilty of reacting in the way that I was end up asking myself, like, what the hell. So I'm just gonna talk about it. Like, there are actually a lot of things that are in a spiritual community that are considered as spiritual ego, but I'm just gonna talk about other things. Probably they also resonate, because there are actually a lot of people who are spiritual, being mystical, spiritual, who are actually mention about the spiritual ego, how it can affect you in the process. How can it affect you in your own spiritual growth and whatsoever. So I'm just going to talk about something that is not considered as a spiritual ego in a spiritual community. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with going vegan, there's nothing wrong going vegetarian. That makes sense, right? Because it makes sense. And for me, as much I've knew about veganism as well as vegetarian, I've never like saw myself being one. But eventually I went once vegan. Was it a great experience? Initially it was a great experience, and as much it was a great experience, it's something that I don't regret doing, because if I didn't do it, I wouldn't have known that veganism is not for me. Obviously, I do have meals that I vegan meals, and I just love certain meals. So and to be honest, veganism helped me with exploring a certain food. It made me curious about what is gonna come, because I've never eaten tofu until I went vegan. I've never, as much chickpeas was something that, like, I enjoyed chickpeas when I was a vegan, but I also eat it now because ever since from then I was hooked. So I'm just talking about simple things like that. So being a vegan, it's something that I see a lot in a spiritual community. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing wrong with it, but you are not obligated to go vegan just because you're a spiritual person. Nobody is obligated. It doesn't mean you are not spiritual when you choose to not go vegan. You can still eat your meat, you can still eat your fish, you can still eat whatever. Don't be trapped in that mentality that you have to go vegan in order for you to be considered as spiritual. It's not toxic to not to eat meat. It's not toxic to eat vegetarian. It's not toxic to eat dairy product. It's not like, don't allow these people in spiritual community to try to trigger you or to guilty trip you. Obviously, I'm not gonna lie, you gonna listen to your body over everything. Everyone in a spiritual community, they're just in their journey, finding themselves, finding something that actually resonate with them. I like to believe anything that is conscious, it's something that is good for your body. But obviously, vegetables and fruit, it's a must. And water, like water, it's a you can feel it in your body when you're eating vegetable fruits as well. You can feel you, because you are healing. You are actually vibrating in a different energy. You are in a different vibration the way compare when you are not awakened to who you are, because we constantly have series of spiritual awakening when you are in a journey, when you already went through a dark night of the soul. So it's something that you should consider. You something that, I mean, it's something that you should be aware to, not just because you see other people in a spiritual community and you feel like you are missing out for the fact that you are not eating vegan, you're not going vegan or not going vegetarian. And for me, I listen to my body, because I as much as initially it was a good experience and I enjoy it, but my body started requiring me to eat meat. Will I ever go vegan? I don't know. I'm not gonna make a decision based on now, because I am a changing person. Maybe one day, I don't know, but I'm just not gonna force anyone to go vegan. This thing in in special community of trying to force humans to go vegan just because you went vegan, it's your individual choice to go vegan. So whenever you listen to that inspiring spiritual teacher that you actually admire, you realize, I don't need to listen to this BS, because you are your own pineal, you are your own truth. You listen to your gut feeling, you know what is right for you, and before anyone. So don't allow in spiritual community, as much as we're talking about moving away from metrics, in the spiritual community there is actually ego, because we are human beings who have ego. You can't just throw away your ego just because you feel like you're a spiritual being or blah blah blah. We're living in a world that is ego existing. The fact that ego is existing within you, you just have to have the awareness when you are operating from it. You don't have to cut it off. You can't cut off your ego, can you? That's unrealistic. So you just have to be awareness when your ego is just gonna act up more than anything. It's just a matter of awareness. Okay, another thing that I actually noticed in a spiritual community, it's a language. In a spiritual community, you find people who have a way of speaking. I don't know whether it makes them feel like they are more spiritual or what, but I'm not judging. It's just that it makes me laugh sometimes, where you find they have a certain words of you they use. It's a language or whatsoever, and they be like, oh, what the hell? Like you like I don't know why, but it's something that I have realized. And most of the time when I'm obviously I'm a person who learn from other people, when I find whatever spiritual teacher or whatsoever have a certain word that they use, or maybe they use bombastic word for unnecessary reason, I'm like, okay, I get it. English, it's a very a huge language. There are words that I've never used, but I've been speaking English for as long as I remember. But I'm not saying I'm perfect. English is actually my, you know, I usually consider myself as 50% with my English rather than 100%. I'm just a 50% because language is actually a huge language. I mean, English is actually a huge language. So it's not something that you can learn in one day. So there's actually a language that I'm never understanding the spiritual community, like even certain words that they use, and I'm like, okay, you be like, okay, and I'll be like, you just be like, okay, I'm just observing, and I'll be like, is it this align with me? And the answer will be like no, and I don't bother. Most of the time, obviously, I unfollow those people, and I'm like, I put a spot, like if I had to see this person on probably on Instagram, is it a search I don't know, whereby you see people, new people, and is it a search? I don't know what it's that place is, whereby you meet people, you see people on Instagram that you don't follow, and you'll be like, okay, if I have to come across whoever that I choose to unfollow today, I have to come across him or her because they have something for me. Because obviously I'm constantly manifesting information that actually resonate with me, because obviously, you know, we are connected. As connected as we are, it doesn't mean we're supposed to be together energetically. We're supposed to be talking to one another even in the spiritual community. You're gonna meet people like, I see you, and I see you, but it doesn't mean we have to just connect, because it does not work that way. Well, just because you have your third eye open, it doesn't mean we're just gonna make we don't not supposed to fake things. It's okay to be like, I see you, you need like this, I need that. Okay, it's like that. Okay, now I'm gonna move away from the language, because it's something that I wanted to mention. And the another thing that I actually noticed on a spiritual community, that I feel like it's this is also a issue. I won't say it's an issue, but it's something that I've realized I don't need to, like, spiritual community. Being spiritual, it's you being yourself. And you are not supposed to keep going. As much as you are a student, you're also a mentor in some way, because as much you are a student, you're constantly learning from other people that will actually know more than you do. You could, and you are following, and whatsoever, you're not supposed to follow everything. If something falls off, it falls off. If this whatever special teacher, what at some point they make sense and now they don't make sense, you're not supposed to follow, like, oh, no. It's okay to feel like you are no longer aligned with whatever spiritual teacher that you came across before, and you unfollow, whether it's that spiritual teacher is on Instagram, Facebook, a YouTuber, a tarot reader, a life coach, whatsoever. You can feel it, your energy and her energy. She's good, I'm good, but we are not in a place where we are supposed to be faking it. We're supposed to be following each other. We're supposed to be talking to another. You can feel that whatever that phase that you had with that person, it's a phase that is already unfolded. There's no need for you to be in contact. There's no need for you to be following each other. There's no need for you to be listening to this what we call this tarot reader. There's no need for you to go about. So it can keep you stuck in your own spiritual growth to assume that. It can keep you stuck when you assume, when you're putting all your energy trying to make people, to recruit people to be go vegan just because you went. Just talk about the benefit of you going veganism and how it help you. You don't have to recruit other people. The fact that now you feel the need to recruit other people, you need to work on yourself. Like, work on yourself. You don't need to recruit other people to go vegan just because you went vegan. Just be you for doing what is fruitful to you, without trying to recruit other people, trying to go and do much, trying to form some sort of a rebel to make other people feel guilty about following veganism. And it's just, I find it narcissistic in a sense. So there are actually a lot of things, as well as language. Like, why are they like that? Just because you are spiritual, it doesn't mean you are not supposed to be cursing. It doesn't mean you're not supposed to be get angry. It doesn't mean you are not supposed to allow yourself to be human. You are not supposed to be robotic. That's why you happen to have a spiritual gift. People who have a spiritual gift, they are meant to help people, but with the way that is actually original to them. When you're trying to deprive yourself from being you to being expressing, just because you see a certain leader or spiritual leader being about and having a lot of followers, having a lot of money, they showing a lot, it doesn't mean that you support. For example, I forgot his name. He had about 1 comma something million followers. He usually do meditation when it's icy. He use ice water in some sort, like he is very much into water. And he also usually meditating in cold water, doing whatever. I don't know the process of it, but I would consider him as an Iceman. He used that name as a nickname, but I forgot his actually name that is go about, like his real name. I just know him as Iceman. That person is Iceman. Obviously he's doing something that is different. He's doing healing through ice water. Is something that he felt drawn into it. It doesn't mean now he's supposed to cope whatever he's doing. Obviously, when you find his meditation help, like doing ice water, and it makes sense to you, okay, fine. But you're not supposed to find a career in a spiritual community that is actually, you are all having a different mission. The fact that he's using water, obviously a lot of a lot of people who need his healing in the way that he's doing his healing, his services, they're gonna gravitate toward him. If you're a person who has because tarot readers, I think I admire tarot readers more than anything. Tarot readers are actually pineal. You can tell they all different, how they read energy, how they all specialize. You can find someone specialized in twin flame, you can find someone specialized in healing, you can find someone specialized in past life reading as well as future reading. You can find someone specialize in healing people, in terms of all of them, they are healing, but you can tell by the way they're reading their energy where they at. You can tell, okay, now it's time for me to follow another tarot reader that are actually making sense, because you outgrown whatever that we're talking about. Not that you outgrow them, no, they won't grow. No, they will grow. It's just that phase that you needed them for is no longer existing, because we are specializing in they're all specialized differently. They're all specialized in whatever manner. I think that's why I prefer tarot readers over everything. I'm not saying tarot readers they're always right. I'm not always saying tarot readers don't have a special ego. They do. It's just that I value how different they are. I value how they going about not trying to be act like someone. But of course, there are also those that I can tell they are still in that energy of not allowing themselves to be themselves, not allowing to read the way they are called to read the tarot reading. Instead, they're trying to be someone else. So you can tell, like, okay, that's why I prefer listening to tarot reader most of the time on YouTube. I'm just a fan. I just love whatever work they are doing. Obviously, sometimes I find myself listening to them almost the whole fucking day. Like I waste my time, a lot of my time listening to them, and I have to put boundaries and realize this is not how I want to waste most of my hours of a day. Like, because I need to make some changes whatsoever. So I'm just gonna talk about the spiritual ego in the spiritual community. As I said, what another thing that I wanted to talk about, uh I wanted to touch about, um okay, when we are, okay, I'm just gonna talk about, okay, I mentioned the language, but now I'm just gonna make talk about how I feel like in a spiritual community. I That's why I said I prefer tarot readers. They curse a lot. I was finding difficult in fitting in a spiritual community. As much I find them resonating with me, and I even admire the fact that I find people that resonate with me, for the rest of my life, most of my own existence before my spiritual awakening, I find it difficult to belong. I usually have issue with belonging. I didn't belong anywhere. I didn't belong in my family. I didn't belong in the community. I didn't belong within my friends that I made in the past. I was just a widow. I was just a reject everywhere I go. So when I started on or journey of being myself. Obviously, when I was a kid, I used to curse a lot, and I was told that I was rude. I was told about this and that whatsoever. So when I went on a spiritual community, obviously, I first met spiritual leaders that are not cursing, that are just, those who are vibrating in the energy, that you end up feeling guilty about being yourself. Don't get me wrong, they didn't say I should be like them. No, it's just that, when my spiritual awakening, I was drawn in other spiritual leaders who are exactly not the same. I felt so guilty for being myself. Like I felt like maybe I don't belong here again. But that was not the case until I came across tarot readers, and I was like, obvious, the first tarot reader that I read, obviously we're vibrating in that energy of me being scared, of being a cursing, for me being vulgar, and I was finding myself, I was like, oh, what the fuck. And it was hard until I was like, you know what, fuck it. When I said fuck it, that's when I was aligned with other people who cares a lot. And the first person who I actually follow, who's actually a counselor, who's also a spiritual life coach whatsoever, sh- beside Natasha, is it Natasha Hain? And then the second one, it was Dr. Sarah. I still follow her, Dr. Sarah Kotox. If I'm not pronouncing her wrong, forgive me. I'm not good with pronouncing people. So, Dr. Sarah, and she cares a lot. I'm like, damn it. When you find people, when you already stop feeling bad about being yourself, stop feeling bad about your cursing tendency, your vulgar, because you being cursing, you are being authentic to yourself. You allowing yourself to vibrate in the energy that is actually aligned, that is actually original to you. It's your secret sauce. I'm not saying you're supposed to kiss for no reason. No, it's just that it's natural for me to kiss. It's natural for me to be in such elements. So don't find yourself feeling bad about you coming up as widow, or you being loud every minute. As I grew up and I realized I was actually a person who usually in a spotlight most of my time. Like I used to love dancing when I was growing up as a kid. I used to even think that I would end up being a dancer. I was just I was and until I had people telling me that I'm too much. I'm wanting attention. I'm attention seeker. They were starting to tell me, you I should down it down. Oh please, you're just too dreamy. You know you're not gonna make it to being a dancer whatsoever. And then I just, that person died. I thought maybe I should just listen to them, they know better whatsoever, and then I ended up falling for whatever shit that they said. But of it, eventually, as now as I'm healing, because I'm supposed to be in a spotlight, just like that little girl that loved dancing. Whenever music start popping, uh that's when I will feel like I will feel alive. I will just start dancing, and I wouldn't realize that people started staring at me because I started, because for me, I just love music. I would just go about and just dance. At that time, I was very much into Destiny Child as well as other, J-Lo used to have a song. I used to dance music like that, actually, like that. Most of the time they're actually sensual. They have this sensually dancing, so I was so much into it. So I was, whenever I feel like this is it, I would just dance, because I remember I even enter a lot of competition that were dancing competition, and I was actually playing the Beyonce character. And it's so wild to think that I actually try to kill that version of myself, because I used to think I've been being too much. I'm too, because I've listened to a lot of people who didn't know what they were thinking or who they are, what they're saying. They were just mean for no reason. So I started being myself, and the more I'm being myself, I realize, as much as I don't like being on spotlight, but I want to be in the spotlight for the right reason. I don't want to be in the spotlight just because I'm seeking for attention, or I just see what do I know. I just want to be in the spotlight for the right reason, and I'm healing from it, and I see the results. I know, like, you know what? Because I had a gut feeling to start my YouTube channel. I think I was still a university student back then. I think I was 20 or 21, but I couldn't see myself doing it. Instead, I remember I there was this girl, I saw that she can make it more way better than I. So I remember at the time we were still on WhatsApping with that girl. She was just amazing, and I told her, you know what, why don't we start a YouTube channel? But I just want to be on the background. I just want to be on the background. I'm gonna provide with a lot of things, but obviously you're gonna do the speaking. You're just gonna do all of that. I don't mind you paying me less if the YouTube go about and it become a huge thing. So I was like, you know what, it's I don't mind, yeah, getting paid less, as long as I just want to be part of it. I'm okay being on in a background, and also that. And she just look at me and be like, you know what, I like how you actually see me. I like how you put me on a pedestal and all that, but I'm not grown to be a YouTuber. And I was like, okay, I never thought I would see myself doing YouTube. That how much I had my anxiety, my low self-esteem push me to. And so now I'm like, you know what? It makes sense to be putting myself more on YouTube. I don't know how it's gonna come about, but it makes sense because I never like public speaking. It makes, like, I see myself, I'm improving in a way that I've never pictured myself improving. So I'm talking about all of those things. Even self-doubt is part of a spiritual ego. Doubting yourself, not seeing yourself, putting other people on a pedestal. It's okay when they are doing exactly the same for you, but you have to do that to yourself before anyone, because you are the shit. Before anyone's trying to tell you otherwise, you are the shit. You are the fucking asset. So anything before anyone, you are the shit. You're not supposed to work with any kind of uh a tarot reader if you don't feel drawn. Even if they in your inbox, you just ignore them if you don't feel, or just tell them, like, because sometimes I don't understand why people in the spiritual community, they inbox you, because I'm the one who need your services. When you are a life coach, you are the one who's actually doing your own thing. You know, when we're a life coach, it's me who's supposed to go to you and try to work with you. The fact that I don't go to you or try to inbox you in other way, I find it nonsensical to want you to me to work with you and be in your own service. Like, want when you want me to work with you in terms of and trust your service. Don't get me wrong, I say you're doing it well, but I trust my gut feeling over everything. So when are you, just because you're life coach, it doesn't mean now I'm just supposed to work with you, I'm supposed to do a reading with you just because you're a tarot reader. I know being in a career that is not considered as a career, being a life coach, being a tarot reader, whatever career that you're, being an artist, it's you're gonna go through the phase where you are a starving artist. It causes a lot of anxiety, and you, most of the time, you will really get support because people be like, oh, what is she doing? Like, she doesn't even know what she's doing. What the hell? Like, who the fuck does she think she is? You know, you get a lot of distraction. You get a lot of distraction. You get a lot of naysayers who don't know who they are. They projecting their own insecurities on you. So it's gonna be scary, but you're not supposed to respond in their level. You know, you're not supposed to act like in that low vibrational state where you end up inboxing other people to work with you. Just know you are the fucking asset. When just focus on being a skillful person, just focus on being a person, developing yourself, focusing on healing yourself, focusing on being having awareness about where you should work, where should your healing, where you need to focus on with your healing. Because the fact that you are inboxing other people, that means you don't trust the universe that is gonna bring you the right people to come about wanting your service. You're supposed to, even if it's scary, but I'm not saying you're just supposed to fold your arms and expect every miracles to happen. No, obviously put your service, market them, do whatever. You're not supposed to fold your arms and everything is just gonna work out for you. No, it's not gonna happen like that. So just trust, you know. Don't inbox. I find it is yours that annoying. Don't inbox me. I know who I want to work with. I have a gift like you. My ancestors, my spiritual guide know who I'm supposed to work with. Obviously in the past I had my own shares of my karma of not listening to my gut feeling, and thanks to those experience, now I have a lot of awareness. I trust myself. So I don't like how in the spiritual community they try to take advantage of the fact you are a newbie. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you taking advantage that you have a lot of followers? Now you're supposed to inbox me and tell me that I'm supposed to trust you with your life coaching services. Who said I don't see you being a life coach? But I'm not guided to get assistance from you, not because you are lacking or anything. I am not guided. You know, it's nonsensical how people in the spiritual community go about thinking that's because they have a lot of followers, just because you have less followers than them, now they think they have a right to inbox you. No, you're not supposed to inbox me for nonsense. I hate nonsense, me. I hate nonsense. You're not supposed to go about inbox me for what? For what? I see you're a tarot reader, so just stay the fuck away. Most of the time, yes, there is actually what are those people? Fraud. There's a lot of fraud. There are a lot of people who actually mimicking a lot of us people, but most of the time, so for me, I also got inbox from people that are actually a tarot readers, whatsoever. They inbox for what? A life for why are you inboxing me? Just because I'm liking your pictures, I'm liking what you post, I'm liking your posts, because you're not only posting pictures, you're also posting some sort of like information that I actually need. I'm liking it because I see it. I value your information. It doesn't mean just inbox me. I'm a liker. When I like something, I like something. When I compliment you, I'm not saying you're supposed to be hungry for my validation. No, I'm not doing this to make you feel some sort of way, in terms of like, um you're supposed to be starving for my, no. Just trust yourself, Nana. You are doing good, sweetheart. You're not supposed to be going about feeling like you are inadequate, you are not good enough. No, stop doing texting, stop. I'm liking it because I agree with it. I'm liking it because I see your growth. I'm liking it because it resonates with me. Even sometimes I like it if it does not resonate with me, because it's your own truth. It has nothing to do with me. So I'm not trying to push you to have validation to stop. No, I'm not moving that narcissistic way. You're not supposed to be starving for whatever. You're just supposed to know your truth. When you speaking your own truth, when you walking your own truth, you don't need validation. It's you. I know sometimes it's scary because it's something that you are guided to do on your own. So having sometimes you have a pioneering spirit whereby you're doing something for the first time that is not have been introduced in the spiritual community, and that is scary. But it does, yeah, it sometimes you can find yourself having anxiety and your certain toxic attachment style being triggered. If you have anxious attachment style, if you have a certain avoidance anxious attachment style, because you feel like you are not being recognized with whatever truth that you speak. But you forget that your truth, it's your truth. It has not, as long as it's from your soul. Some people, even if you post it now, maybe it receive like 2 likes. It doesn't mean in future nobody's gonna see that. Oh wow, obviously people grow differently. We do grow differently, and most of the time the reason why you find a certain book whereby a certain people wrote it finally makes sense 5 years later. A lot of people now are buying it, but even the writer obviously consider it as a failure, and out of the blue it ended up being a hit. It because we're not yet in a place where we resonate with your energy or resonate with whatever that you post, because it's something that is new, and most of us are not yet in that place where we are consciously aware of your information. That's why, for example, the woman who wrote Harry Potter, I feel like it's a great example of what happened. She was constantly rejected from publishing companies because the whole collective was not ready for that information that she was implemented. Just think about if she was the first time she got accepted into that publishing company, probably it won't have a recognition that he got, because as you follow, we are all artists. As you follow your gift, it is gonna lead you in a place where you are considered crazy, you considered whatsoever, because it's new. It's not something that is not yet uh implemented. So when you're in a spiritual community, you should have awareness of when you finding yourself seeing other people doing other ways, in terms of you find yourself like feeling like they moving like in the same way. They're more like copying each other, and you feel like you find it irritating in a sense, not because it's because you are not aligned with it. You're not aligned with how they moving. You are supposed to find your own path. You're supposed to go about with something that resonates with you. Don't get me wrong, I tried a lot of spiritual career and I didn't feel drawn into them for the long term, because I was not aligned with them. I was not. I was forcing myself to be aligned with them, and I wasn't. So when you find yourself in a spiritual community, feel like you are also feeling like outsider. You Don't get me wrong. your information will make sense to another people. Maybe you're not supposed to have a lot of followers that you think you're supposed to have. Maybe that 4,000 followers that you have, that 1,000 followers that you have in whatever social media that you have, that is actually you using for your business. It doesn't mean you're not gonna get customers. Clients who actually resonate with you. You're gonna get them. It's just that it's not your time. In terms of I won't say it's not your time. It's your time, but it's not your time to actually understand the information that you have. As I said, when we're in a special community, we are all have a divine gift. We're all divine gifted, and when we're in a spiritual community, we're all walking our own path, our own mission. Walking our own mission, it means you are being called to do things differently. You are being called to not move like other spiritual teachers. You are being called to move in a way that makes sense. You are just there. As much as other people are walking that path, it doesn't mean you're supposed to walk the same way that they walk. You're supposed to move differently. For example, as I said, I'm just a fan of tarot readers, because every tarot reader that I came across, they're different. But I can tell a tarot reader that is still stuck in their spiritual ego when they're trying to mimic other readers, and to be like, you know what, this guy still need to heal from this. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I am perfect. I'm not saying I didn't find myself having difficult. I swear I felt like I was being suffocated, because all my life I wanted a place where I feel like I belong. Finding all myself in a spiritual community, I find it difficult to be in it. So because I have a childlike energy that I need to introduce in a spiritual community, that a lot of people in a spiritual community, they come off as very serious and they think it's normal. Probably I feel like being serious is just a trauma. To be constantly serious is just a trauma. So my child, like, I feel like I didn't know how to introduce it. So but now I'm just moving it about, and I'm just gonna take my time, because it's something that I'm childlike, but I hide it. But it doesn't mean eventually I'm not gonna come about and introduce, because as much in my Instagram I just want to introduce it, but I'm not yet in a place where I'm like, okay, I'm ready, but I'm just gonna do it eventually, because I'm called to introduce this energy. So I'm just gonna talk about things that, like, don't allow the spiritual ego to see other people doing the way they are doing and think maybe you are doing it wrong. Wow. Okay, thank you guys. I'm finally thirsty. Like, from 25 minutes I was already thirsty, but I don't want to leave. I just want to talk and talk and talk and talk. I guess talking is actually my gift. So thank you guys for liking, for subscribing on my YouTube channel. Thank you.